Okay, we're middle of Tevlin Kalim, the dinim of Tevlin Kalim. Okay, the din is like this. You have to be careful when you table a pot, a dish, whatever you're tabling in the mikveh. It has to be 100% clean because there cannot be any chatzitza, any separation between the water and the plate, let's say, or the pot. Many times you buy things, they have stickers on them at the bottom. And God bless the people that make the stickers and make them impossible to take off. So the din is, it happens many times that I get a call, people call that they table dishes and then they realize there's a sticker on the bottom of the pot, and the din is you have to table it again. It doesn't help. You have to table it again because you can't have any separation.
Is the whole thing is not upset or just that area?
No. The whole thing, that's what I'm explaining now. The next din is you have to table the entire vessel at one time.
Right.
Okay? When you kasher utensils, so this is, let's say this is the utensil you want to kasher,
right.
You can kasher half at a time. It says preferable not to, but if you have to, if you have a very large pot and you don't have a pot to go in, okay, so you can do it half at a time. Because kashering is to remove what's in it, the treif that's in it, right? So even if you do half at a time, so you take off the treif from this half and then you take off the treif from the other half. By immersing kalim, by tefillas kalim, the whole keli has to be underwater without any separation at one time. If you table 3/4 of, it's like for a person, a man or a woman in a mikveh, if one hair is sticking out, one hair is sticking out of the water, it's not a kosher immersion. The same thing by kalim. You have to make sure the keli is 100%. So we said that therefore when people table kalim, ideally they should let go for a second. While it's in the water, let go for a second, then the water covered everything. There are poskim that hold that if that's difficult, so you can table your hand until the wrist, and then because you tabled your hand, then even if you hold the pot, it's okay. But the chatchila poskim, right, the better way is definitely that you table the whole pot by letting go for a second. That's why not in the men's mikveh or the women's mikveh you can get to the bottom. A lot of times you ever notice the bottom of a kalim mikveh, there's spoons and forks, people bunch of dropped in there, and it's this high, you can't get it. So every so often they clean it out, just they take out the stuff they find at the bottom and they tell people, whoever lost it, come and get it. But yes, because you have to table the whole thing at one time. Even Moshe, they used to table. Okay, it's not like today's keli. There used to be, like if this keli has holes in it. So they used to do many times, they would tie a string and then lower it with the string into the mikveh. So then it says you have to make sure that the string is not tied tightly, because again, then that area where the string is, so if you tie it loosely, just enough that it's going to hold when you up and down, so then it's also not a problem. The same thing, a lot of times they use these strainers, these big strainers, and people put the dishes in there, and then they table them that way, the water gets in. But you have to be careful, because if you table like that, and one dish is on top of another dish, sometimes the water doesn't get in between them, because it doesn't float up a little bit, so then it stays. So then again, you have a problem, it's not considered a kosher tefillah. You have to retable it. Well, like we said yesterday also, if you table things with narrow necks, you have to make sure the water gets full. So let's say you're tabling, let's say for argument's sake, you're tabling that soda bottle, yeah? So you have to fill it up with, make sure it's filled up completely to the top with mikveh water. Then let's say you're going to table it a few times, so you don't have to empty out the whole bottle and refill it again. You just empty out a little bit, and then not at all, but if it's full, you just table it a few times, so then you don't have to go crazy refilling it like that.
You can only throw it in the mikveh, or can you do it in a river or flowing river?
I know some people weren't here yesterday when we learned all of those dinim, but I won't say anything.
I have it on what?
It has to be in a kosher mikveh for women. Not all rivers are kosher for tabling. I'm talking about whether it's tumah, like especially a woman, nida, when it's avat tumah, it's real tumah, and you need to be metahered. So rivers that dry up, this is what it says in Halacha, the rivers that dry up in the summer are not kosher even during the winter. There's a lot of in the poskim discussing, the rainfall, what happens. A lot of times you have rains in the winter officially, right? Meisak Shamim is winter. So then by the time the summer comes, you don't have it's dried up. So then you can't table it even during the winter when there is rain. Okay, next thing. What?
There's all rainwater right now.
Yeah. Rainwater is rainwater.
It's full of rainwater.
Yeah, but because it's not, so to speak, in a permanent level, then even when it exists. The Mishnah says rivers that dry up once in 7 years are not kosher. That Chassidus proved the whole thing, that the world, because it's only created for 6,000 years, is not a real creation. Because the fact...
It's like the top with the leak. It's the same idea as the top with the leak.
It's not, no, that's a different din, what's called zeichelin. But zeichelin is not because it's not permanent, because the mikveh has to be complete. Now, if it's zeichelin, if it's leaking, so that means there's a hole in the mikveh, so the mikveh is not a complete mikveh. In fact, there's a whole shaila in halacha. I mean, by women, they're very machmir in this. What happens if a filter, most of the mikvahs today, well, you don't want to change the water every day, okay? So they have basically works with filters, right? So let's say the Pico mikveh, right? Pico mikveh works as a filter, so it draws out the water, it goes through the filter, gets filtered, and then it goes back into the mikveh, correct? Now, once it goes through a filter, it goes through a keli. Filter is a keli. So that automatically disqualifies it from being, again, we learned yesterday, you don't table in the rainwater. You table in a body of water, city water, that's connected with holes to the side or to the bottom, depending on what we said, hashaka, right? It kisses each other. So then it's considered that the city water is like rainwater, halachically. But when you take out the rainwater, it goes through a filter, and it comes back through the filter, so then the problem is that it's not actually rainwater anymore. So you need, I understand, but that's city water because of the connection to the ber hatfila, the ber of rainwater is called rainwater. So now this water, so what do they do? What do they do when they use filters? I'll tell you what the Pico, every mikveh is done differently, but the way the Pico mikveh is built, because B'chal says in Halacha, when you build mikvehs for women, you go to every chumrah possible. Right? Because you want to make sure all opinions are okay with it. There's a din in the Gemara, Rambam and Shulchan Aruch, that mayim shenimshcho gimel tvachim al gabi karka, mayim she'uvim. Mayim she'uvim means drawn water, which is not rainwater. It's automatically drawn in a keli, so it's automatic, even if it's rainwater, it's not rainwater anymore. So the din is, the water that gimel tvachim al gabi karka, shemshichu gimel tvachim al gabi karka, becomes kosher. Again, even though it's city water, but the fact that it goes gimel tvachim agabi karka, halachically it becomes kosher for a mikveh.
Cement.
Now it has to be agabi karka. Now obviously you can't do this. Cement is karka. Cement is earth. But poskim hold you shouldn't coat it because then it's not the cement anymore. Whatever. But anyway, so the Pico mikveh, the way it works is the water. It's late. The water goes out with a filter. And then when it goes through the filter and the water gets heated and cleaned, filtered, it goes amshacha gimel tvachim agabi karka, okay? And then, the way the Pico mikveh is set up, there's rainwater on the sides and there's rainwater underneath, okay? So the water goes through the hashaka gimel tvachim agabi karka, then it goes into the bar min hatzad, meaning the rainwater of the side, which halachically is called zriya. When you feed mayim she'uvim, sink water, city water, you feed it through the rainwater, it's even better than even the waters kissing each other.
So therefore,
So it goes into the sidebar, and then it goes into the main bar, where women tavel in, which is again, you have hashaka from the side and from the bottom, plus you have amshacha gimel tvachim agabi karka, plus you have what's called zriya, that the city water goes through the rainwater, and therefore it's back to rainwater again.
When you said 40 stuff, you could add to it. You could if you have 40 sub rainwater, you can add 9 children.
Yeah.
So as long as you always have 40 sub in mikveh, you can filter it and bring it back. It's not gonna matter.
It's not going to matter, but the shaila is the filter is usually at the bottom of the mikveh. Right, so it's sucking from the bottom. What?
But they're not, it's Boral Gabi Bor, right? So they're filtering.
It's Bar Agabi Bar and Bar Min Hatzad, both.
Yeah, but they're filtering the upper bore. They're not
Right,
filtering the bottom bore.
right.
That thing is probably pretty interesting. But the upper one is the one that's being filtered, so that's being left alone.
I was down there. Okay, we don't change the rainwater too often because it's very hard to fill all those betas. It's like you have to fill 2, 4, 6, 8. We have in the mikveh here we have double betas and next to on the side of the mikveh we have a double amount of a bird, plus the underneath betas are 2 amounts of rainwater. It's double 40 saw at least, sometimes even more.
Therefore, when the pump is pumping, it's okay to.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's going to get to, but we continue with Sunday night.
What did they do in 40 years in the desert?
Miriam's well.
There was water and they
Miriam's well. They tabled it.
and they told her and they
Yeah. Machin so meise mehr Bibel mein Kim Shibla Gaut Tele beginnen mit Kashimet. Later die Woche sagt so wie